Welcome to Lighting for Profits.
All light.
Powered by Emery Allen.
Get rid of your excuses.
Your number one source for all things landscape lighting.
That's where the magic can happen. You can really scale a business.
We really had to show up for each other.
From lighting design, install, sales, and marketing.
You're a scaredy cat salesman, Kurt.
We discuss everything you need to know to start and grow a successful landscape lighting business.
What do you think a hippo has to do with your business, Ryan?
Usually it's some weird childhood thing. Some bully kicked your butt.
I think the key factor here is trust.
Here is your host, Ryan Lee.
All light. Welcome to the number one landscape lighting show north of St. Paul, specifically. That's what we're doing today. It's a great show we got lined up. Excited to be here with you guys this week. And be prepared because it's going to be probably one of the nerdiest episodes you've ever been a part of. So if nerding out on lighting and numbers and all this other stuff and you really want to be successful in life, excites you, then make sure you stick around. It's going to be an awesome show. We got the one and only Mr. Dan Platta coming on, and I'm excited to have him on. His new business is actually called Best Damn Bookkeeping, and he really is the best damn bookkeeper, right? So I thought, oh, great name. How'd you come up with that? But I'm really excited, guys. If you're looking to start or grow your landscape lighting business, then you're definitely in the right place. We are here to educate and motivate to help you dominate. And by the way, thank you guys so much for your support. I seriously love doing the show. I've been asking for reviews, and we've been getting them. So the moral of the story is ask and you shall receive. I want to encourage you guys to ask for more reviews for your local businesses. And I'm going to keep asking here on the show. So if you have not yet done that for me, go to Apple and give me a review. You know, hit the 5 stars and then type something nice. If you got value, if you think the show sucks, just disregard what I said, right? But if you gotten value out of it, if you like our guests, if you've gotten value from it, go help us out and give us a review on Apple. I'd really appreciate it. And for those of you that have, we've been getting some more, and I love it. I thank you so much. I really am excited. So, by the way, if you are watching this, you might be wondering, yes, I do my own hair. Yep, I do this myself. No, I got these new glasses. I got the blue blockers. You remember the old commercials? Get yourself some blue blockers. Yeah. I decided to get some blue blockers because I've been home working now. I've been traveling forever. And then now I'm in front of these monitors in my eyes and I've got these headaches and everything. And I got these new blue blockers and they're working well. I just have had them for a few days now. And so far, so good. No headaches, my eyes feel great. So if you are staring at monitors like I do a lot of times, get yourself some blue blockers. Yeah. Also, before we get Dan on here, Landscape Lighting Live, you guys, we've announced 2 mentors so far, Andy Schwindler and Captain Matt. We're going to have a total of 4. We're announcing the others this week. We're going to have 4 mentors with us down there in Tampa. So, and it's not just, this is for a lot of different types of people. We've had people come where like they have like 20 years experience in the industry. I'm like, crap, am I gonna be able to help them? And they love it. They get such good value out of it because they're able to network with others and better themselves, better their business. And then we have people that are brand new. So it doesn't really matter if you're brand new or if you've been in the industry. Come join us February 1st and 2nd, Tampa, Florida. When you buy your ticket, we'll send you an email with a discounted room block to the hotel. And then you just need to get there. It's right by the airport, so you don't need to rent a car or anything like that. We cover all the food, all the transportation. We got a party the last night. Like, it's all covered, right? So you just need to show up. We take care of all the food and stuff like that. Oh, we got Wallace Wimmer. What's up, buddy? Future's so bright. Got to wear the shades. I love it. So make sure to go to landscapelightinglive.com, get your ticket. These things always sell out. And then people are like, hey, do you have any more tickets? Like, no, because then we'd be liars. We limit it to a specific number of people. And again, this one's going to be totally different than the others. We're changing up a little bit of the way we do things, and we're going to have 4 mentors. And these are guys that are absolutely crushing it in their business. And they're going to help answer questions and teach and do all that stuff. So really excited for Tampa, February 1st and 2nd. Hey guys, performance matters. This is a true statement for a lot of things, including the kind of lighting you use. Don't sell yourself short with your customer by using budget level products. Emery Allen is at the top of their game when it comes to performance. Take their VA rating, for example, lowest in the industry. What does that mean? Well, it means efficiency. So with a low volt ampere rating, you're able to drive more bulbs on a circuit with a given transformer rating. With lower quality bulbs, that same transformer, you won't be able to put as many lights on the same circuit. This is going to save you money, by the way. Make the switch today to Emery Allen, and it's a great time to do it. You will not be disappointed. Just email Tom G at emeryallen.com and help you get your account set up, get you the discounted contractor pricing. Don't waste your time going to their website. Just email Tom G at emeryallen.com. Mention Lighting for Profits. Mention Ryan Lee. Doesn't matter. Just let him know that I sent you, and he'll hook you up with that discounted contractor pricing. If you just go to their website, you're going to be able to buy their product, and it's amazing. But why would you pay full price when you can get the Lighting for Profits discount? Just email Tom G at emeryallen.com. Well, excuse me. All right. So, guys, in a couple minutes, we're going to have Dan Platta on. And I'm really excited to talk about, because there's a lot of people that have questions with finances. And even saying the word finances kind of makes me a little bit sick. And so he's figured out how to make bookkeeping cool again. You know, I don't know how he did it, but he did it. And make sure you stick around. And if you guys have questions, if you are here live, go ahead and put them in the comments and we'll ask him as well. But I'm really excited to have him on. But I think because we're going to have him on, I think it's appropriate to talk about what I want to share real quick before we have him come on. Investment versus expense. So when I started my business, believe it or not, my very first year, this is how ignorant I was. When I started my business, I moved from Utah to Texas. My goal was to do $1 million the very first year. And how did I come up with that number? I was like, well, my brother said these jobs were $4,000. So I'm like, okay, if we do 4,000 times, I can't remember how we came up with the math, but we came up with the math to get us to $1 million. Someone else do the math for me, please. I think it was something like, well, we do one job a day, 5 days a week. That's 20,000, 52 weeks. Okay, there's $1 million. And that was just ignorant, but I was still working full time. I kept my software job while I was down there, and I started the lighting business. And I was like the top rep in Salt Lake City for this software company, to now, like, in a year, I wasn't even in the top 10, you know? And I was afraid to do things, you know. This was the first time I really was starting my own business. I didn't dare put any money into the business. You know, I did have some extra money because I was making some money selling software, but the thing is, I was saving it. I was just putting it in a savings account because, what if the lighting business didn't work? That was like my plan. It's like, well, when it fails, then I'll have this money, right? So first of all, lesson on mindset, don't think about when it fails, like start thinking or asking what happens when it succeeds, right? But at the time, I remember we needed a trailer. Like, we had started installing, but we didn't have money to buy a trailer, because any money that we made was, buying materials and stuff like that. And we were just working out of the back of my brother's truck. And one day we were at this job site and it rained like crazy. And we had all this cardboard of lights and boxes and stuff, and everything's soaking wet and soggy. And it was just like, it didn't like ruin everything, but it made it hard it was depressing. Like, it was like, oh man, this sucks. And so that day we decided, all right, we're buying a trailer. That was investment number one, right? It was like, I thought I couldn't afford a trailer. I thought, well, that's an expense. At the time, I think it was like $3,000 or something like that. We didn't think we could afford it. Once you buy it and you start using it, you're like, how did we live life without this? This is so nice. There's organization, and we can leave stuff in the trailer at night that we don't have to, like, we were unloading his truck every night because he parked outside, and then we had to reload and all this. So now all of a sudden it was like, why did we not do this months ago? We don't have to do all this stuff. It saves us time. It's more efficient. It changed my mind from an expense account to an investment account, right? After a few installs, I realized, man, I should be out knocking doors and selling jobs. And so we hired a couple of guys to help us. They called each other Primo. I'm not sure if they were cousins or not, but they helped us out, and it was awesome. And that means I wasn't doing installs. That's our second investment. Okay. Now we've got people doing installs for us, so I can go out and make the company more money. And what happened was the business started working. I was getting more sales. We booked installs, but then something else happened. So this was back in the halogen days, way back, you guys, way back in 2007, way back in 2008. And we started to get service calls. So it was halogen days, and someone would call and say, hey, I got a light out. It's like, hey, no worries. And what we would do at first is send the crew. They'd finish their install, and then the crew would, on their way home, would go, change that light that was out, change the light bulb. Maybe a timer wasn't working. But after a while, we kept getting more and more calls, and we kept getting more and more installs, which was good, right? Good problem to have. But guess who became the number one technician, the maintenance technician in the company? You're looking at him, right? I had to go be our lead maintenance person, which, by the way, if you want to learn landscape lighting in terms of the technical stuff and troubleshooting, like if you want to learn it quickly, go do maintenance for like a month and you'll learn everything about landscape lighting. You'll understand how electricity works. You'll understand everything about landscape lighting. You learn it very, very quickly. And I still remember all that stuff from whenever that was, right? But one day I was in a tree and I was changing a downlight. It was an MR16 light up in the tree. I'm up there changing it, get a missed call. No big deal. I had already missed lots of calls. And I always called people back. But at the time I was our office manager, right? And when I was done servicing the property, I call back the number and the lady answers and says, I said, hey, it's Ryan with Majestic. I was just giving you a call back. How can I help you? She's like, oh, you know what? Thanks for calling, but we already got a hold of somebody else. And I'm like, oh, what were you looking for? Were you looking for a new bid or did you need some maintenance? Oh yeah, no, we got a hold of the other company and they're coming out to give us a quote tomorrow. And I'm thinking, and I said, well, I can come out and give you a quote. And she's like, well, no, they already answered their phone and, it was very professional. We're just going to go with them. And at the time, I mean, I was ready to like crawl through the phone and like murder this lady. I was like, what do you mean? Like, I'm here. Like, I was just in a tree servicing a client. Don't you know? Like, I know customer service better than anyone. Like, I'm the owner of the company. I was just changing a light, right? And I thought that was the definition of customer service, right? Little did I know that that wasn't, right? And so at the time, I've been thinking about for months now, probably even a year or two, like I should hire someone to answer the phones. But I thought, I can't afford to hire someone to answer the phone because number one, that's going to cost me 30 to 40 grand. And I don't have an extra 30 to 40 grand. By the time we pay the business expenses, pay my brother, pay me, like I need all that money. And by the way, after that first year, I quit my job. So I was all in on the lighting business. I couldn't afford to pay someone 40 grand, right? Even further, I was like, well, not only do I have to pay them 30 to 40 grand, where are they going to answer the phone? They're not going to answer the phone from the storage unit that we meet up at every morning. We were just meeting our crew at the storage unit. So I'm like, if I hire someone to answer the phones, like what's my wife going to feel like when some lady comes over to the house every day, right? I couldn't think of this through. So I was like, well, then we have to get a shop. We have to get an office. Like, how's this going to work? Well, this phone call that I got and I missed in that tree that day changed my life because when she told me no, I couldn't even meet with her. I mean, yeah, I was upset, but I at the time, our average job was $5,000. And I just thought, man, I just missed $5,000. Like, you might as well, like, I would have had more fun getting $5,000 and lighting it on fire and make a YouTube video. Like, it sucked. There was no fun. Like, it just was terrible. And I thought, man, I just lost 5 G's. And then I started to think, well, what about the other customers? Other numbers I called back, I missed, I called, they never, like, I would call people 3, 4, 5, 6 times. They'd never return my call. And I started thinking, well, geez, wonder if that was a missed opportunity for 5,000. And that one was a missed opportunity for 5,000. After a while, it's like 5, 10, 15, 20. I started doing the math. I'm like, that's at least 60, 70 grand that I missed over the last few months. That's when I understood expense versus an investment. And I decided that day, okay, we're hiring somebody because we're not going to miss another phone call because I'm doing customer service in a freaking tree, right? And we made the decision, okay, we're going to hire someone. We're going to find a shop and do all that stuff. So I want to share that with you because there is a difference. There is a difference. And when you understand that difference, it's much easier to run your business. It's much easier to grow your business. And you're going to start saying things instead of like, well, I can't afford it. You're going to learn the phrase, I can't afford not to do it. Right? That's what an investment is. You get more value than what you pay for. And in business, most things, not everything, but most things really are an investment. Advertising. Okay. A lot of people are like, here's the thing with advertising. It's actually a lot like business coaching. A lot of people think there's never a good time to do it, actually, because when you're busy, you're like, we don't need advertising. We don't need coaching. We know what we're doing. Like we couldn't even afford to get in. What would we do with another lead anyway? Right. So you don't do advertising. Then you wait till you're slow. And then you're like, wow, man, we can't afford advertising. We don't have any money. We're too broke. Right. Same thing with coaching. We can't afford coaching. We're too broke. Like people tell me I can't afford coaching. And I don't ever want to hear that again. You can't afford not to advertise. You can't afford not to hire a coach. You can't afford not to grow your business. These are investments. Okay. And there's a difference. So get to know the difference and be aware of these things in your business and find what areas you can invest better versus having an expense. Right. So, the key is just to be consistent, right? So if you happen to get more leads and you're worried, just book out further. Like you're doing advertising, you get more leads, then just book out 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever. Raise your price. All right. You can be more selective on your clients. There's ways to solve good things. There's tons of ways to win. So I want to encourage you to understand the difference between investment and expense. And my mind, even though I got the blue blockers on, it's already starting to I think I'm starting to get a headache just because I'm already starting to talk numbers. So I think we got to get Dan on here because we got to turn it over to him, let him nerd out on the numbers. You guys with me? I know I am. I know I'm really, really ready. So let's do this.
Yeah, dog.
What is up? What is up? Welcome to the show, Mr. Dan Platta.
I'm just here trying to look cool like you, man.
Yeah, you always wear sunglasses indoors, right?
No. No, actually, and I don't like it one bit. It's not good. It's not good. Not good. They
20 seconds.
They weren't blocking my blues,
Yeah. If you had blue blockers, you'd get it.
Yeah. They're probably like brown blockers or some other. They're blocking something that doesn't need to be blocked. Unnecessary blockage.
Yeah, it changed. I mean, man, when I just did that, I just saw a lot of blue. Like everything way blue right there. Well, I'm excited to have you on, man. I feel like I don't ever get to really hang out with you because when I'm doing like an event and you're there, I have to work and it sucks. I'm like, guys, I have to be responsible and work and stuff. And then even on like business calls and stuff, we're just always talking business. So
yeah,
maybe this will count as a hangout sesh. I don't know.
This is it. We get to hang out. I'm gonna treat it like that. I'm gonna crack one open right here so it feels like we're hanging out.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I'll join you.
It looks like you're ready for that. I got this sweet landscape lighting secrets koozie that I've been hanging on to, and it goes well with my see-through can. Can you believe that can that you can't even see?
Well, you got to take it out of it so we can see that it's see-through.
Yeah, but then you would see that it's a ginger ale and it's not as cool anymore. Yeah.
What's the deal? Because I was looking forward to you having some beers. Yeah. Cheers for Tuesday beers. Mm-hmm. As they say, and it was going to get crazy. But I'm not even. Can you perform without a beer?
I don't know. We're about to find out. It's never been done before. Kind of like just like too much screen time probably gives you a headache without those blue blockers on. Not enough bush lights gives me a headache. It's like the same thing.
I'm worried. I'm legitimately worried. Like, will this may not work.
So this is like take two for me. Last year, from like the weekend after Thanksgiving to right before Christmas, I was like, I'm gonna take a month off of drinking and just see, because this is gonna make me sound like an alcoholic trying to like defend the fact that I'm pretty sure I'm not an alcoholic, but I enjoy a beer. I enjoy good beer. I enjoy shitty beer. I pretty much like all the beers except for the skunky ones. And so every once in a while, I'm just like, man, I should just like take some time off and make sure it's not a problem, make sure that it's a thing I do because I want to and not because I have to. And so I did it last year and I was expecting, like when people stop drinking, they're like, oh, I sleep better and, I feel better and I'm more this or I'm more that. And I took a month off last year and I was like, I didn't lose any weight. I didn't sleep any better. Actually, I think I gained some weight. So it's like, it can't be. But I also got a vasectomy last year during that time. So I was kind of down and out for like 2 weeks and I couldn't work out and stuff like that. So I'm just going to like say that probably had something to do with it. And so it's kind of like take two. And now I said this on my radio show a couple times, which is just like vacation. When you take vacation from work, there's no such thing. It's just work displacement. you do more work before you go, and then you got to catch up when you get back. So like vacation is really just work displacement. And so to be honest with myself and with everybody, this is just 1 month of drinking displacement. I drank more before I'm taking this month off, and then it's ice fishing season. Like right when I get, I don't know if it's getting off the wagon or back on the wagon. I don't know the exact wagon reference because it's not something I think about. But when I do the wagon thing around Christmas and I get back on, I'm gonna catch right back up because it's ice fishing season.
That's
so it's just
okay.
drinking displacement for a little bit.
Yeah, spoken like a true alcoholic, you'll make up for it.
Right. Well, that's the thing. It's like I can talk about why I don't think I'm an alcoholic, which is just flat out going to make me sound like an alcoholic. So, I'll just stop there.
Yeah, you're definitely digging the hole. So why don't we just start talking about bookkeeping and numbers and stuff, and then maybe that'll help.
I like it. I was digging where you were going with the expenses versus investments, and here's a way that I found to frame it up.
Nice.
Expenses, and I'm gonna like profit and lossify this thing, if that's a term that I just made up, and I think it makes sense. Profit and lossify it. So expenses are things that are incurred to go out and like execute a job. They're related to the execution of a task. They are not about growing the business. Investments are about growing the business. One thing you said, and I'm going to like counter what you said a little bit, but there's an investment in there. I'm just going to frame it up this way. So you said like when you hire a couple people, that's an investment. I would argue their wage to go out and do the thing, that's an expense. About 50% of the revenue that you make from going and doing Mrs. Jones's job, that $5,000 call that you missed, $2,500 of that is going to the lights and the materials and the equipment on the truck to do it, and the dudes that are doing the thing or the gals that are doing the thing. That $2,500, that half of the money you just brought in, that's an expense to go execute the thing that you sold. Now, the other $2,500 is the business owner you have to figure out how to go grow the business, and that's when it turns into an investment. Now, when you hired those people, it was an investment, but it was an investment in you to allow you to go sell more stuff. The salesperson, the marketing, the rent for the office space that you go get to grow the business, the new truck or the new trailer to allow efficiency to increase. Those are investments because they can generate a positive return. The expense doesn't necessarily generate a return, but the investment is the thing that can generate a return. So when you hired the people, it wasn't an investment, but it was really just an investment in you as more of a salesperson to go grow the business.
Yeah, I like that actually. I in my mind, I just tell myself it's an investment because like I actually agree with that.
That's just because you're a dude that likes to spend money. So it's a great way. It's a great mechanism to make you feel better about spending money. Yeah. It's just an investment. I tell my wife that whenever I go hunting. Yeah, when I go hunting, I'm like, honey, it's just an investment. So it's cool.
How else are we gonna get deer meat?
Yeah. I gotta go hunting. It's an investment.
Yeah. No, I like that. Okay. Well, that kind of leads into like, this is so weird because I'm like, why did I ask such technical questions? I basically have all these questions that I want to know the answers to selfishly. And I've heard you speak about them before. And like, I need clarification and all this stuff. But I saw you explain the difference between like fixed costs and variable costs. And it kind of went along the lines like you were able to group like the P&L into like fixed and variable, and you explained why it matters. Can you talk a little bit about those?
Yeah. Let me bring it back to the context of expenses versus investments too, because I'll hit it comes down to different types of decisions you make. So the expenses that you have are usually at the top of your profit and loss statement. We call it cost of goods sold a lot of times. And it's kind of goofy. Like some of it's the goods, right? Some of it's the actual fixture that you're installing and the wires and the transformer and all that stuff. Some of it's the labor, but again, like half of the money you bring in for a job is gone the minute you book that job, assuming you're not the one out there installing it. Even if you are, you should be part of the labor. You should take a paycheck. Then you start making these investments. So you have this.
Just to clarify, at the top in the COGS, in the cost of goods sold, you would put what?
Labor, supplies, materials, tools, equipment, stuff that's on the truck. And I would differentiate supplies and materials as like stuff that stays at the job. the fixture itself, the wires, the transformer, anything that's like staying at that job. Tools and equipment would be the stuff that's like on the truck, but then like comes with you to the next job. But that all, if it's out in the field, I'm calling it cost of goods sold. And then just anything else to make that job happen. So sometimes you have like damages and repairs, right? Maybe you got to like plant some grass seed or something like that. Sometimes you have merchant processing fees if they pay with a credit card. And if that's how they're going to pay, like part of doing a job is getting paid for it. So you either need to have a technician drag a check around until you can get it deposited, or you take a credit card and you're paying a fee. And because you can look at Mrs. Jones's job and say, we did this $5,000 job, we paid $150 in merchant processing fees, it's an expense. It's not an investment. It doesn't help you grow the business. It's cost of goods sold. Now, $5,000 job, you got $2,500 left. Now is when you start thinking about investments. And there's 4 different investment decisions to make. 2 of them are the ones you already talked about. Before you even get to those 2, there's 2 that we usually make first. There's marketing, which is like the first investment we make is, hey, we did this sweet job. Let's go get more of these. So we take some of that $2,500 and put it into Facebook ads or Google ads or email campaigns or send Jim or, whatever it is. So we make this investment in client acquisition. And then we get to the point that you talked about, which is like, oh crap, I'm in a tree trying to answer a phone and now I've like missed it. And so now I'm going to invest in people infrastructure. So I would call that administrative overhead. Who behind the scenes is working on the business and not in the business type of thing. And that's cliche, but like who's not out in the field producing, who's in the office answering the phone, working in your QuickBooks as a nerdy bookkeeper, going and selling the thing. Anybody that's not out in the field producing the thing, but they're, getting paid by the business either through a wage or as a vendor, they are administrative overhead. They're helping figure out the best way to run the business and get a return on the business itself. So you've got a marketing investment, you have an administrative overhead investment, and then you have this fixed and variable different types of decisions here. So those fixed overhead, that bucket is all investments in infrastructure, non-people related infrastructure, but it's all like the recurring bills. It's like the least fun part of your business. And I'm a bookkeeper saying that, so it's super boring stuff. All right. I always joke whenever I talk to my insurance guy, I'm like, you are twice as boring as I am, man. Like by default, insurance is just awful. It's like, and he's an entertaining dude, and I'm bored with it. But so the fixed costs are all your infrastructure decisions. And again, like these buckets of expenses that I'm talking about are all based on different types of decisions that you make. So infrastructure decisions are like your rent. Because once you make that decision, you're locked in. You're paying that monthly rent for a long time. They're sticky. They're fixed. They're hard to get out of. Your liability insurance or any other insurances besides, like workers' comp, I generally would put COGS because the safety happens out in the field. But liability, it's a little bit split in hairs, but liability insurance and stuff like that, I put into fixed overhead. Software expenses, utility bills, interest on loans, anything that's like you made a proactive decision and now you're kind of living with it and you're stuck living with it and it's hard to get rid of. Those are your fixed infrastructure decisions. Your variable ones aren't predetermined like that. So it's a different type of decision. And it's why I keep them separate, because you might suck at making proactive infrastructure decisions and be really good at managing on-the-spot decisions, or vice versa. Your variable are the on-the-spot decisions where it's like something good happens or something bad happens and you're reactively spending money. You're not proactively deciding, hey, I'm going to go rent this facility. You're reactively saying like, oh shit, this piece of equipment broke. Do I go buy a new one? Do I slap some duct tape and some crazy glue on this thing? Do I try to wrench on it, or do I pay somebody else to wrench on it? And whichever one of those you decide right now on this instance when this thing just broke has very little bearing on what you decide the next time it breaks. Because maybe this time it broke and you're super busy, and so you got to take it in for somebody else to fix. And the next time something breaks on it, either you know how to fix it, so you're going to fix it, or you have more time and you're going to scrub some YouTube videos and figure out how to fix it. So variable expenses or investments are ones that are more reactive: repairs and maintenance, travel, conventions, employee engagement stuff, if you want to like take the team out or throw a party or have like team meetings and stuff like that. Recruiting is a really big one, because if you don't have great employees, your business probably sucks. So like make sure you have really good employees, and that's an investment. Again, back to the 2 guys you hired, that was the investment, was the recruiting to find them.
Got it.
So that's how I like to break it down. It's like 4 different types of investment decisions. And generally, as you scale the business, the ones that require the most focus change. Like the investments you're worried about when you're doing $200,000 are way different than the ones that when you're at 800,000, and way different than the ones when you're at 2 million. Like you have them all the time, but the onus is going to change as you scale the business.
So how does this help someone? Like you get it, let's say you get it set up right, and you got, okay, I got my expenses, I got my investments, I got fixed, I got variable, I got all this. How you gave us a couple examples on how to use it to make decisions, but is it just based off of what? Like, how do we just determine how much to pay? What percentage of sales is advertising? What percentage should be labor out in the field? All those, like, how do we make sense of all that?
It's kind of handy that there's this group called Landscape Lighting Secrets, and there's a budget sheet that a couple guys built to do just that for people. So in general, I actually pulled it up on my other screen. So Ryan and I put these numbers together a couple of years ago, actually, of like roughly how much to spend on these different types of decisions. So we had 51% of revenue. We'll call it 50, but we were getting real exact. It's about 50% of revenue going towards the expense of doing the job. Again, like most of it's going to be the supplies and materials you install, quite a bit on labor, some on tools and equipment, some on fuel to get there, all that sort of stuff, the workers' comp, the uniforms, whatever, damages and repairs. The first investment you make is advertising. And it's hard to say there's like a specific percentage for advertising. Part of it just depends on like what your capacity is, right? If you don't have good employees, it's probably not a good idea to advertise a whole lot, because you're going to do a shitty job when you get there. I'd say like get your recruiting dialed in before you start really like pushing marketing too hard. Make sure you have great employees first. But in general, on average, I'd say 6.5%, that 6 to 7% range is like a good barometer for marketing. But if you're spending 10 to 15%, you're not wrong. Just make sure you're getting a return on it, right? It's an investment. It needs to generate a return. That's like the overarching theme here is all these investments need to make you more money. If they're not making you more money, they're a really shitty investment. So marketing's not bad if you're spending 10%, as long as your acquisition cost is good and you're bringing the clients in. But on average, I'd say 6 to 7% is about the average of what we see people spending on marketing.
And I'll just say something on that. When I found in my business, when I started, it was really high. I mean, it was probably over 15%,
Yep.
but like no one knew who I was. So like, one person did, because I just did their lights. And we didn't have to, but we did decide to spend more money on advertising and branding to get out there. As we grew, what I found was happening was we were hitting the referrals hard. We were hitting the reviews hard. And so what happened was we actually kept our exact same dollar amount of advertising, and our sales started to grow because we started getting more repeat business, started to get more referrals. And so even without changing anything, that percentage naturally drops.
Yep.
And that worked out. So I see that kind of trend with most of our clients too, is like the bigger they get, the lower that percentage is, because they're really good with referrals and repeat business.
There's a couple of funny trade-offs that happen in here. So marketing, so all these percentages that I like rattle them off are for they're not for like when you first start out. They're kind of for as you're scaling and getting, over a couple $100,000 and you've got some teams out there going.
I think we did that budget, like somewhere around $800 to $1 million.
Yeah, if you're in like the 500 to $1 million, these percentages are like where you want to be shooting for. But what's interesting is, so I'll rattle these off and I'll say some of the trade-offs here, because I think they're worthwhile to think about these investments you're making, right? It's a pool of investments, and you got to decide which ones you think fit your business the best. And there's trade-offs here. So marketing at around 6-7%, administrative overhead, your people infrastructure around 13 to 14%. So combined with marketing, about 20%. And I say combined because that's one of the trade-offs, and I'll express that in a second. And then fixed we had at 5%, variable we had at like 4%. And so if you add that all up, 51, 6 to 7, 13 to 14, 5 and 4, you end up at 20% net profit margin. And that's with like, healthy growth. You're reinvesting in the company. You're not just sucking all the profit out of it, but you're operating and growing the business. Now, the trade-offs in these investments, again, you have marketing to invest in, you have administrative people, infrastructure to invest in, you have fixed infrastructure, and then you have variable overhead. So you have these 4 investment groups. Part of the reason your marketing is higher when you first start out is because you don't have the administrative overhead. You have this holistic 20% of things to like go grow the business with, of that marketing and administrative overhead. Like that's what gets you leads, right? That's what fills up the schedule, is those 2 things. And so when you're first starting out, you are the administrative overhead. You don't have an admin. You don't have a salesperson, right? Like you're the coach and the referee and the point guard all at the same time. And so you can afford to spend more on marketing because you don't have that administrative overhead burden. As you get more administrative overhead, you are hiring people to help you work on the referral process, right? To answer the phone so that you can provide better customer service and you don't miss that $5,000 job. And as you get those resources in place, you don't need to keep spending more and more on marketing. Those people are going to start growing the business. You don't need to spend as high of a percentage on the ads. So it's a super common trade-off that if you want to spend less on marketing, you generally have more in salespeople or processes to go get jobs through referrals or whatever the case is, or networking groups or relationships, however you can. And that same type of trade-off can exist in your fixed and your variable overhead, which is generally when guys start out, they make way more variable overhead investments. Generally, it's like meals and entertainment and travel. They're going around to different coaching groups and just events and trying to learn as much as they can to scale up. Well, if you're a $100,000 business and you fly out to an event and all in, you're out $5,000, that's 5% of your revenue, right? If you're $1 million business and you go to the same event, it still costs you $5,000. Now it's 0.5% of your revenue, right? So the percentage changes so much. When you're just starting out, your variable overhead tends to be high because you're making these variable investments to go learn stuff and find that first employee and whatever, and it's expensive as a percent of your revenue. As you scale, you start needing more fixed infrastructure. You need better software. You need to rent a location. Your liability insurance jacks up as you start hiring people and getting company vehicles with a 20-year-old kid driving it. And so then your variable overhead goes down because you don't go buy lunch every day because you're like, oh crap, I don't want to have to buy lunch for everybody every day. I'm going to stop buying it for myself on the business every day too. And so it's just this funny trade-off that happens as you scale the business. It swings the pendulum a little bit.
So does it matter? Like I actually have thought about this recently, because this last year I was looking at my numbers. My meals and entertainment looks like I've been like hiring hookers and strippers and cocaine and all this stuff. It's like crazy high.
I was going to tell you to stop doing all that, but whatever.
But you've been to our events, like, they get wild, the after hours that most people don't know about. But, I've spent a ton. I've spent a small fortune on meals and entertainment. And my CPA is like, what type of meals and entertainment are you doing?
All of it. I'm doing all of them.
All of it. Does it matter? Like, if I ever get audited, is the IRS going to be like, wow, I mean, you ate Del Taco that much?
And you're like, dude, have you ever had Del Taco? Of course. Of course I did. So I am not a CPA and a tax professional. I'm just nerdy finance bookkeeper. It's all within reason, right? I would say in general, meals and entertainment is less tax deductible anyway. Historically, they kind of changed it during COVID. I don't even know if it's 50% or if it's still at 100% because of the COVID stuff. I can't say if the IRS is going to come after you for it. Generally, if you're like wining and dining clients, that's a little bit different than meals and entertainment too, right? It depends what the purpose of it is. What I lean towards is if you can do it with all the employees of your business, then it's really like employee engagement. It's a team building event. And then it's fully tax deductible because it's team building. But if it's just you, then it kind of falls under the meals and entertainment. I try to be reasonably conservative with it personally. Like if it's me, I mean, like when we're in Nashville, right? I'm throwing back a few Busch Lights at $72 a pop or whatever the hell they are down on Broadway. Like yeah, I'm with a bunch of business owners. One or two I'll throw on the business, but I'm not going to go rack up a $200 tab at Toby Keith's, or whatever the hell. I don't remember where we're at, but so I'm like going to try to be a little bit reasonable about it, just for that sake. I've never heard of anybody getting pinched for it, but kind of like ice fishing, I don't want to be the first one. I don't want to be the first one out there. I'm going to let all the other dummies go out there first. I don't want to be the one to get pinched for something like that. So
all right.
I'm pretty conservative.
I was just asking because, I think I spent some money in Nashville, and I'm hoping it all gets written off, but I guess we'll find out.
And I mean, like, your business is a little bit different too, right? You're literally in coaching and consulting, and so your business model is to bring people together, and meals and entertainment is part of that. So part of that is your business model, which is different than somebody that's out actually installing landscape lighting.
Right. Okay. So if they spend 15, 20 grand in Nashville that week, it might be a little weird, but for my business, it's okay.
Might look a little different in theirs. Yeah.
Let's talk about, actually, let's do this real quick. I want to do the gift card giveaway. Ooh. And this is really nerdy, so I think you're going to like it. Is that all right?
I'm in.
Let's give some money away, guys. Gift card giveaway.
All right,
nice. Guys. Wow. Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been working on it. Okay, this is your chance, guys. If you're here live, you just have to be the first person to answer this question correctly. The only rule is it has to be what I think is the correct answer. Even if you Google it and find a different answer, it doesn't matter. You're wrong. It has to be what I think is the right answer. Even if Dan thinks it's right and I think it's something else, it's my show. It's my game. Okay.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Sorry. And it is a financial question because I thought, well, if we're going to nerd out, we're going to go all in. So here's the question. The first person to answer this correctly, according to what I think is correct, will win a $50 gift card courtesy of me. So here's the question. You guys ready? Oh, wait, we got to do this. I got to get my thinking music ready. I forgot.
Oh, that's good.
One day I'm going to hire someone to just do my thinking music. Okay. So if you buy a light fixture for $100 and mark it up by 50%, how much margin percentage will you make when you sell it? Dan, don't answer the question because I feel like you're nerdy enough to know this.
Yeah. I'm staying
so again, here's the question. If you buy a light fixture for $100 and mark it up by 50%, how much margin percentage will you make when you sell it? We're still waiting for the results. We're waiting for more people to be wrong.
I like Billy's 100% shit. Never mind.
Okay, Billy, 100%, and then there's a little asterisk. Shit, never mind. That would not actually be incorrect. So we're still looking for a winner. By the way, whatever you think the answer is, you're probably just going to be wrong. So come up with another answer.
That's the best way to get to the right one, is to start throwing out some wrong ones.
50% not correct. Sorry. Still love you, Greg. All right, who's this?
It's
33.3%.
It's not me, I promise.
Hey, we got a winner. We also had somebody that was wrong.
We have another loser.
Yeah. So
you got
anyway,
sweet sound effects, man. I want those.
Yeah, didn't you get a podcaster board, Rode podcaster board?
No, I got a Zoom thing. It's different. It doesn't have buttons for cool sounds.
The buttons are cool. They light up. You know what I mean? Like who doesn't need lit buttons?
I like it.
So here's the thing, Dan. Tell us why, because this is actually leads in. Hey, by the way, whoever this is Garber. Tom Garber wins the gift card giveaway. Look at this guy. Oh wait, what do we got? There we go. Give it up.
We're good.
It's the president, guys. It's the president of Emery Allen right there. So, Tom, we are hooking you up with the gift card. Congratulations, and thanks for being right. Tom. Let's talk about why.
Did Tom win it? Did Tom just win a gift card for himself to his own business? What was the gift card for?
Well, we just Visa gift card.
Oh, I thought it was an Emery Allen gift card. I was gonna be like, that's awesome. Tom just
would be cool.
Won himself his own gift card. Yeah.
Well, you guys, I'm trying to work on this gift card giveaway thing for next year, which is like gift card giveaway on steroids. Oh, yeah. So there might be some gift cards from Emery Allen and some other manufacturers and stuff. We'll see. I don't know. But he did win $50, so he can go buy something on Amazon. He can go buy some meals and entertainment. He can do whatever he wants.
Probably some meals and entertainment.
All right. So why is that? Because I told you, like, I actually know the difference between markup and margin, but then if I go to teach it, I don't know the difference.
So the math part of it, the super sexy, the sex appeal math side of it is you're selling something for $150, right? You said it's $100 thing. You're marking it up 50%. So this $100 thing you're selling for $150. Well, it costs you $100. So if you have revenue of $150, now you have that cost of goods sold as $100. So your gross profit is $50. Profit is like the dollar amount. Margin is the percentage. Those terms get used interchangeably a lot, but that's like what it's supposed to be. So if your gross profit is $50 out of 150 of sales, 50 out of 150 is 33.3%. So that would be your gross margin would be 33.3%. You made $50 on a $150 sale.
Yeah. So, and this is important, guys, because people mess this up all the time. People are always like, oh man, I make 50%. Well, we just showed you how, like, when you think you're making 50%, you're making 33. So
what's worse is you probably had to pay somebody to do something with that thing, and you probably made like less than 33%.
Yes, this is like a vacuum scenario, this fixture, and it sells itself, and like someone picks it up and like installs it and everything. Yeah. It's a very paper question, but so if someone buys a fixture for $100 and they want to make 50% margin, how much do they need to sell it for then? $200. So what I don't even know if this is the right formula. This is what I do is you divide it by what, 0.5?
Yeah.
One minus 0.5.
Sure. Which is 0.5.
Yeah. But the thing is,
tomato.
I don't know if you know this. 1 minus 0.5 is still 0.5. The reason is because, like, if you just do, like, if you're like, well, I want to make 70%, then wouldn't it be divided by 0.3?
Yeah, you're right.
That's the only reason I did the 1 minus, but hopefully I confuse people probably, but the point is there's a difference between markup and margin. So maybe talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you hit it on the head, but what I would follow it up with is on the margin side of it, where I see people get really sideways is they don't account for all the actual costs, right? Even if you were an Amazon reseller of this thing, let's say that's all you're doing. You're in competition with Tom and you're reselling his stuff and you're trying to buy it for $100 and you're going to sell it for $200. Like, your time is worth something. You're sitting there executing this. And if you had hired somebody else to do it, it's going to cost you, right? And if there's any like transaction fees to make this thing happen, it's going to cost you. And so what I tend to see happen is people look at like the first level thing, which is, yeah, I bought $100 thing. I sold it for $150. So I made, like you said, I made 50%. It's like, well, no, you made 33 and you just didn't take a wage. Like, that's not all profit. You didn't take a wage. You have a job. And so you can either do that job and take a wage, or you could pay somebody else to do it. But if you took a wage and your wage was $25 for every time you did that, well, now your margin is 25 out of $150, which I'm not going to try to do that percentage right now in my head. I guess it would be what, 16.6777. So I did just try to do it in my head, I guess.
Don't do it. You haven't even had a beer, so just relax, okay?
No, I'm having an ale though, so don't discount me. You can't see it because it's see-through, but it says ale right here.
The see-through Wisconsin L.
It's a ginger.
Or Wisconsin, Minnesota, same thing.
I'm from Wisconsin. I just live in Minnesota. I'm a cheesehead all the way, man. Go Pack. But so I see that's where like people get their margin thing really screwed up, is they just don't account for all their costs. They think about it super, super high level, face value, and discount their time as being free for some reason.
Yeah. It happens all the time. I'm sure it happens to me, right? But a lot of people, especially in the Christmas light industry, they're like, man, I make like 70%.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, That would be amazing, and like then the next sentence is like, well, like how much did you charge to go? Oh, I didn't mind. I was in the area anyway. And I don't and plus I don't have to pay somebody because I'll just go do it.
Yeah.
They don't
Look
have
at
to
me
pay
make
labor.
money. Look at me making money.
Yeah, look at me being an entrepreneur.
It
So-
is in holiday lights. It's super frustrating because I see it over and over again. People talk like that, and then guys get into it. In year one, they make $0, and I'm like, yeah, there's no money in year one. I don't know who told you there would be, but they're full of it because like you're gonna spend 30 to 40% of that revenue just on the supplies. Just on the supplies. That's not counting your vehicle. That's not counting the gas to get out there. That's not counting your workers' comp. That's not counting your wage or the wage for anybody else that paid. That's not counting anybody to answer the phones. That's not counting the marketing that you got to pay. That's not counting for the storage or the storage bins or the repairs and maintenance on that truck. In year one, like if you break even in holiday lights, that's good. Now, the whole point is that you get to do those clients again in year 2 and year 3 and year 4. And then your profit margin after that can be like 30%. Again, because you need to take a wage for yourself too. That your wage is not profit. You're paying an operator. You just also happen to be the operator. But yeah, guys get really tripped up on that and severely disappointed.
Yeah, and everyone's fine not paying themselves, which I don't understand because the whole purpose of starting a business was you were sick of working for someone else and you were sick of making them all the money.
I'm
right?
so sick of it. I'm gonna work for free, damn it.
Yeah. I'll show him. I'm not going to make him all the money. I'm going to work more and I'm not going to make any money.
Yeah. To make sure
somebody
making any money.
So what are some other things? Like these are some things that I found when I was growing my business. I was like, I told you the story of me not being able to afford hiring an office manager, or I thought I couldn't. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's why I'm such a pricing like Nazi now. I'm like, no, raise your price. Because
you are a pricing Nazi. Yeah. You totally are.
I didn't even know, like, people like, I don't identify as that, leave me alone. But people like, they label me and it's bad. But like, I didn't think about like equipment replacement costs. I didn't think about taxes. If I was not in Facebook groups, but if I was one of those guys in a Facebook group back then, I would not have bragged about how much taxes I paid and equipment replacement costs. I would have been like, I make 70%, son. So how do we plan for growth? How do we do that with budgeting? Because like you said, pay yourself. Well, I'm doing the job of 5 different people right now. So am I literally supposed to be paying myself the job or 5 different salaries?
I mean, like a portion of it, right? You don't spend 100% of your time doing one job and then another 100% of your time doing another job, right? Because you don't have 500% of your time. So yeah, you're doing 5 jobs. You want your pay to be it's kind of like 2 different angles of it. Generally, you want your pay to be reflective of what you would have to pay somebody else to do what you do, right? Like in general, so that you can make sure someday when you do have to hire that person, so that you can be sitting on a beach somewhere and the business is still making you a profit, that you can afford to pay a good operator. Now, it's hard to figure out what that number is. And competing with that is the fact that if you're taxed as an S Corp, you kind of want to pay yourself as little as possible to minimize your payroll tax burden. Legally pay yourself as little as possible. So it's like you're trying to find the sweet spot in there of I need to pay myself enough to be reflective of like what I should pay somebody, but I also want that to be on the smaller side to alleviate some payroll taxes. But I think as you get going, the recipe for how you scale the business is a personal one. And beware of like Facebook groups where somebody's smashing their business model down your throat because it's the model that worked for them. And obviously like Ryan's going to be here teaching you guys a bunch of skills and tools and mechanisms to scale a business profitably and properly. The order of which you do certain things though, and when you make these investments, has to be based on you, your skill set, and what makes you happy. It can't be based on what somebody else did and told you to do because it worked for them. Even if it did work, it probably didn't work. And it's just some talking head on Facebook saying they make 70%. So do what they did. They're probably full of shit. If you don't have access to their QuickBooks and they can't show you that they did it, discount it, right? It's just somebody talking. What you need to focus on is 3 things. What do you love to do? Like, when you wake up in the morning, when that thing is on your schedule and you're like, yes, I get to go do this part of my business today. What's that? right? If nothing comes to mind, like maybe you don't want to be a business owner, but there's probably like a thing or two that come to mind where you're like, man, if I could just spend all day out in the field, I love being outside, right? Like build the business so you can stay out in the field. That's not a sin, even though a lot of people would lead you to believe like you can't grow a business from in the field. Bullshit. I've seen great operators grow a business from in the field and hire everything else out. Maybe it's doing sales. Maybe it's just being a CEO and hiring everything else. You can do it any which way, but it's got to be, you have to build it around the thing that you love to do. So figure out what that thing is and design the business around that. Number 2 is, sorry, my hand's like off the screen. Not that you guys don't know how to count to 3. I was going to count to 3. I'm going to stop holding up fingers because you guys know how to count to 3. Number 2
How many
is,
fingers am I holding up?
all of them.
Well, technically, yeah.
Yeah, all of the ones you were holding up.
Mhm.
So 2 is, it has to be something you're really damn good at. You got to be the best in the world at it. So you got to love it, and you got to be the best at it. If you're not the best at it, like, I love golfing, but I'm just not that good at it. I'm way better at drinking beer than I am at golfing.
I think I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, I'm not going to be a pro golfer. And in my business, I don't have anything that specifically comes to mind, but there's things that I love to do that I'm just not going to be the best in the world at. Marketing. I like to tinker with marketing stuff and spend that money and make those investments. I am not the best in the world at it. I should delegate it, even though I like to do it, right? So first, you got to love it. Second, I'm doing the finger thing again. Damn it. Second is it's got to be something you're the best in the world at. So you're trying to find those 2 things. And then third is, people have to be willing to pay you to do it, right? It can't just be that you love it and you're good at it, but it's not valuable to anybody else, right? If it's not valuable to anybody else, it's not worth any money. And so now it's just a hobby, right? I love to go bow hunting and I'm really good at it, and nobody gives a shit. Nobody's going to pay me to go out bow hunting, so I cannot build a career on that, right? I love it and I'm really good at it, but nobody's going to pay me to do it. And so you're trying to, as you grow the business, you're trying to work your way into the role in your company that does those 3 things for you. And that the answer to those 3 things is going to be different for everybody. So there's awesome tools, awesome mechanisms, awesome scripts, things that Ryan puts out in his Landscape Lighting Secrets program that will help serve you really well. The order of which you do those and which role you have in the company has to be based on you and what you're passionate about and what you love to do, what you're really good at, and what somebody's going to pay you a bunch of money to do. That's how you're going to scale the business the best.
Nice. Well said. I love it. We've been fortunate. How long have you been a coach for Landscape Lighting Secrets?
I think over 2 years. I think over 2 years now.
Yeah, it's a long time. So we've been fortunate to have Dan on, and I don't think I tell people. It's like a hidden secret. It's one of the secrets, actually.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of secrets.
Yeah. But I think it's awesome, and like it's cool because like when people reach out, they're like, "So who are?" Because I tell them how the program's set up, and like, "Well, who are the coaches?" And I say, "Dan Platta." Oh, Dan Platta. Yeah, he does my books or whatever. Like so. We've been fortunate enough to have you because I'm not a numbers guy. It makes me ill, like thinking about some of these things. And it's a tremendous asset. We were in Nashville together. You came to Secret Summit. I don't know what you were doing. If I asked you about Dave Ramsey or we were just talking about debt.
I was just drinking beer at 9 a.m. talking about finance.
Oh, yeah. So how do you feel? Let's just finish the show. This is the best part. I saved the best for last, which is probably a bad idea because the data shows us that people usually stick around for like 50 minutes and we're at 58. So if you guys have stuck around this long, you're in for a real treat. We're going to finish this with the best part. So let's talk about debt and what's good debt, what's bad debt, all that stuff. How do you feel about debt?
So here's the thing. I own a vehicle in my business. I own a vehicle personally, right? My business vehicle is financed and my personal vehicle is not. One of them makes me money and one does not, right? And it's important that we differentiate between an investment and an expense. That personal vehicle is an expense. That thing is not going to increase in value and it's not going to make me any money. That business vehicle is sure as hell an investment. And with the right employees, it's going to make me a hell of a lot of money. And we have to keep the 2 things separate. So you asked me what I think about Dave Ramsey. And a lot of times when I present, I have Platta's 5 financial fundamentals. I'm not going to get into them today, but one of them is to use debt in your business. And so I like to throw a little picture of Dave up. And just because Dave probably is tuning in and he's going to check us out. And I don't want Dave to be offended here because I have a lot of respect for Dave. I do like Dave a lot. And I think he's great from a personal finance perspective for a ton of people. And that said, fuck Dave Ramsey. All right. If you are a business owner and you probably are, you were late. You came in late with that beep. Yeah.
Yeah, it was late.
But if you are a small business owner, Dave Ramsey is not talking to you. Even if he is kind of talking to you, he's talking to the personal side of you. There is no reason you should pay down a truck in cash. You should not go buy a truck in cash. You should finance it, because if you can finance it for 5%, I promise you, if you can grow your business, it's going to make you way more than 5%. So why wouldn't you finance it at 5% so that it can make you 25%? Right? That mathematically, there's no reason you would pay an asset down or a loan down that has a low interest rate when you can go get a higher interest rate. When you pay a loan down, if you choose to go buy that truck in cash instead of take out a loan at 5%, all you did was lock in a 5% return. That's all you did. And if you're willing to lock in a 5% return, you should not be a business owner, because your business can make way more than 5%. And if it can't, it's a shitty business. And you shouldn't be a business owner. So don't go lock in a 5% return. Go get a 20% return. Grow your business. Get a big old return. That's it. That's all I got.
No, I love it, because a lot of people think differently and they're like, well, what about cash flow? I mean, that truck's costing me $800 a month. Plus I got this other truck and that's $1,000 a month. Like, that's $1,800 a month. I'm sick of this monthly payment. How do you help them work through cash flow versus this? I mean, what you just said was perfect. I think it's like investing in your business is way more than 5%, but
your cash flow is the worst if you drop 50 grand out of your pocket. That's the worst cash flow. So I do have like a formula for buying assets like that. And equipment financing can be iffy. Equipment financing, there's a ton of terrible deals out there. They'll tell you you're getting 6%, but if you actually look at it, I saw one pretty recently, like, because this is something I look at with our bookkeeping clients. They were paying like 100% interest. I mean, like, it was a $3,000 loan, and in a year they paid $6,000 back. That's 100% interest. It was outrageous. I was just like, oh no, like, I would have borrowed you that money for way cheaper. Like, I
would have done 80%.
Yeah,
it was outrageous.
It like blew my mind. I was just like, oh my God, I'm just like crawling that they got away with this. And they don't disclose it. Like, they don't have to. There's fees and different things they can do to manipulate it. But my rule for buying, especially vehicles, is we've done this at all of our Blue Skies businesses, all the window cleaning and pressure washing and maid service businesses we had. Whenever we're buying an asset, we try to put 25 to 30% down. And yes, that's a cash flow ding, right? But it makes sure we can afford it, because we don't want to buy shit that we can't actually afford, right? There's still like some peace of mind with that. We want to finance the majority of it. Putting a bunch down gives us a better interest rate, for one. It's less risky for the bank, obviously. And if something happens, if that vehicle gets totaled, we're going to get more money from the insurance company than we owe on that vehicle. We're never going to be upside down on it. Even if vehicle prices tank, we're not going to get upside down on that vehicle. It sucks when you are upside down on a loan, and the thing that the loan is against, it has less value in it than the loan itself, because you can't sell it, or you have to pay the difference later. And it's easier to make sure you can pay it up front than to be forced into trying to pay it later, because then you have to start making stupid decisions and probably borrowing money somewhere else to pay off a loan, which, like, then you start paying shitty ass interest rates, like 100% interest. So be smart about it. But generally, if you're buying an asset, especially a vehicle, finance that baby. Don't buy it cash. That's stupid.
What about people that are like, yeah, but that's 5%. Right now, the rate they want is 10%. Like, they still want to make the same argument, you know?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, like, once it starts getting into double digits, then I'd say maybe you put more down on it, right? Like, the higher the interest rate, the more I'd put down on it. I get that. It's a trade-off, right? The value, you can still generate a 20 to 25% return in your business or more. So there's still a positive spread, but as that spread narrows, there's less value in having these big loans standing out there. I don't like making loan payments just like the next guy, right? personally, we have like a vehicle payment because the rate was so low. It actually made more sense for us to finance it than to not finance it.
Yeah.
And I was starting this new business and getting bought out of another one. So it just like made sense. But generally, like I need a truck right now. It's just like, I can pay for the truck cash. It's not going to be a work truck. I don't know if I can justify a bookkeeping truck. Like, yeah, IRS, I need to go and, I got papers.
Books.
I have so many books and papers in the back of it all the time. So I need a truck. Yeah.
Probably need a diesel or at least a Hemi or something to carry those books.
Well, I do need a fish house, and I think that I can justify an ice fishing fish house. I think that it can be a tax write-off because it's really a remote office space. Like I bring my laptop out there and get some work done from the ice, so it's probably a write-off.
Yeah, and I even at 10%, I'm tempted to do the financing, but again, it depends. If I only have $20,000 in my account, my business account, and I got to make payroll and all these other things, versus like, I got a few $100,000. You know what? Pay that off because it does come down to cash flow, and what your return is on my business. And we know if you did your budget that you're making 20%. So technically, anything like even 10%, you're still going to make 10% more on that loan, and not put yourself in a cash bind.
Yep. And it's just a trade-off. Like I mentioned, we have this vehicle loan. Well, we're just paying it off because like we have a savings account that generates just below 5%. And this vehicle loan was like at 5%. And we're sitting on the money. And it's like, well, if it's in our checking account, it's not making shit. We can move it into the savings account. And we don't this bookkeeping business I have. Okay. So I have a laptop and a phone. Okay. Those are my two investments. Like, because I can't put the truck on the business realistically. So it's like, there's just no investments I need to make. So it's like, if there's not a great investment opportunity to go generate a better return, then yeah, maybe I'll pay it off. Right. But if there's an opportunity for me to go invest it at a higher rate than the 5% on that loan, I'm going and taking that investment opportunity.
Yeah. I'm with you 100%.
Risk adjusted return, right? I'm not going to go like throw all my marbles into something that has a ton of risk, but only a 10% return. If it's super risky, not all 10% or 20% returns are equal. It's got to be based on the risk of that investment too. But
love it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, man. Well, I think. Actually, on the debt thing, credit cards. So I've run into people where all of a sudden they have massive debt on their credit cards, paying upwards of 30% on their credit cards.
It's no good.
I mean, obviously, that's even if fuck Dave Ramsey. We need to get off the old credit card thing. What can people do to get away from credit cards in that situation?
I mean, I'm a huge fan of using credit cards. I don't have a great solution if you're like racked up on credit card debt. Like that sucks. The only solution is like, you got to then go talk to Dave. You got to get frugal. You got to get that paid down, because if you have debt on a credit card, there goes all of your profit margin. If you're paying 20 to 30% interest rates on debt, all of your profit is gone.
Yeah.
So you should have never gotten there in the first place. Credit cards are not a financial tool to scale a business. That is not a risk you want to take. You don't want to be like, I'm going to go make this marketing bet and I'm going to finance this marketing bet on a credit card, or I'm going to finance this vehicle on a credit card. Like, no, do not finance anything on a credit card. A credit card is a free 30 to 45 day loan that you get points for. And it should never be anything other than that. Never, ever, ever, ever let it get interest bearing. If it's about to get interest bearing, go borrow money somewhere else and then figure it out. But you don't want the money borrowed on a credit card. The interest rate is astronomical and it will ensure that you don't make a profit. It's literally built to make sure you don't make a profit. So don't get caught in the trap. Like, make sure it's paid in full every single month. And if you do find that you're starting to get caught in that trap, get really frugal. Start cutting expenses until you can make sure that thing is gone, because until you make sure it's gone, it's going to soak up all your profit.
Yeah, well said. I love credit cards, but I'm very disciplined. I mean, I pay the thing off.
Meals and entertainment guy.
Yeah, I know how to get some meals and entertainment done on that thing. And with the frequent flyer, the cashback, all that stuff is great, but you got to be disciplined. I mean, you got to be paying that thing off multiple times a month. If you guys are in extreme debt, it's not a guarantee, but you can go to a bank and get a line of credit for your business. And again, I'm not suggesting you go get tons of loans, but if you're paying 30% on your credit card and then now you can get a line of credit that's 8% and consolidate that debt, that's a no-brainer. You're saving 20% now or 22%, right? And then put a plan in place to save and cut costs and all that to get that line of credit paid off as well.
Mm-hmm. Heck yeah.
All right, man. If someone wants to get a hold of you, how do they do that and stuff?
I mean, if you're live, you scan the little QR code on the screen right now. If you're checking it out, or I guess if you're checking it out later on YouTube or Facebook, there's a QR code on the screen. It goes right to my Calendly link. So if you want to get a hold of me, that's the best way to do it. You would think a guy like me would have a website, but I'm still building the website. I actually got a meeting with Michael from Click Call Sell next week, or maybe it's tomorrow. Might even be tomorrow. I just set it up. I was like, I got to get a damn website made. I have the domain. Don't have a website. But scan this QR code. Check. You can just go right to my Calendly, calendly.com/bestdamnbookkeeping. And there's a few different meeting options in there. For sure, check out, I got my little background up here. I got the Home Service Happy Hour podcast. I do a radio show Wednesday afternoons and then the late night happy hour show Wednesday evenings. So check that out. There's a Facebook group for it and all that fun stuff, and a YouTube channel and Instagram and a TikTok and a smashing the likes and all, the stuff.
You're an influencer. You're an Instagrammer.
Dude, if I'm an influencer, I might be the worst one ever. I'm the anti-influencer.
All right, guys. Well, reach out to Dan. Wealth of knowledge, information, super helpful in a lot of different areas. Ran several businesses, sold businesses, bought businesses. He's not just a bookkeeper.
I've screwed up a bunch of businesses.
This is true.
That's super fun too.
That's why you're so valuable. You know what not to do.
Yeah. Let me tell you about what doesn't work.
Yeah, that's really what Landscape Lighting Secrets is all about. And that's why it's a thriving success. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on here. Thanks for hanging out with us. And thanks for everything you do.
Heck yeah. Thanks for having me.
All right, guys. You have an awesome week. And remember, any last words, Dan?
Crush it.
Remember, crush it. See you guys.